histórico.
It has a historic feeling, which you translated really well
certamente
there.
vai
And of
falar
course,
e repetir aqui.
you will
Nós
probably
tivemos,
repeat and mention here.
chegaram aqui 250 empresários e empresárias brasileiros.
Had with us
Mais
250
de
Brazilian
400
business people
empresárias e empresários
and over
indianos.
400
Eu queria
Indian
agradecer
business people.
às
And I'd like to
organizações
thank
aqui também
the
da
organizations
Índia, a
here
nossa
in India,
embaixada,
also our
os
embassy,
nossos escritórios,
our
e de modo
offices,
especial a senhora diretora-geral
specifically speaking,
da
the
FIC, que
General
está aqui
Director
presente
of
conosco,
FIC,
a nossa
who
contraparte,
is
que nos
here
auxiliou
with us, our
na organização
counterpart,
desse
who
evento.
helped us in
Só queria
organizing
dizer, presidente,
this forum. I'd
que a
just
sua
like to say,
sugestão
Mr. President, that
de
your
incluir
suggestion of
aqui
including
no nosso
here
fórum a
in
presença
our
de
forum
ministros,
the
nós tivemos então
attendance of ministers,
6 painéis
we had 6 panels
debatendo temas
debating
que foram ajustados
matters that
pelo
were
interesse
adjusted
da Índia e
based
do
on
Brasil.
India's and Brazil's
Nós tivemos
interests.
7 ministros
So we had 7
fazendo
different
pronunciamento,
ministers
começando com o
making
ministro
comments,
Haddad
starting with
cedo,
Minister
que deu uma
Haddad
panorâmica, como o senhor pediu,
early this morning, who
do
provided
ambiente
the
de negócio
panorama
do
as
Brasil.
you requested
E os
of the
demais
business
ministros
environment in Brazil. And the
fizeram a
other
abertura
ministers,
dos painéis
they opened
que se seguiram,
the
que
panels
foram
that
mais
followed
6.
after
Queria
the
dizer ao senhor
opening
que alguns
panels.
grandes
So we
empresários
have 6
brasileiros
panels. And I'd
também
like to say that some big
conseguiram a
Brazilian
agenda e
business
vieram
people
prestigiar o fórum.
managed to find time
Posso aqui,
in
sem
their busy
desprestigiar
schedule and
ninguém,
came
mas
to
citar
take
que
part
é
in this
muito
forum.
importante
So
ter
I would
a
just like
presença do
to
presidente
mention
da
that it
Vale
is very important to
aqui,
have the attendance of the
senhor
president
Pimenta,
of
que
Vale,
está
Mr.
firmando e
Pimenta,
anunciando um investimento
who is
brasileiro
announcing
aqui na Índia de
Brazilian
mais de
investment
500
here
milhões de dólares.
in India of
Nessa viagem.
over
É muito importante. Nós temos
$500,000
aqui a
here in
Embraer.
this trip. We have
Eu
here
não vou
Embraer.
citar
I'm not
a
going to
cifra, mas
mention
lá na
the
reunião
figure, but
com
at the
os
meeting
grupos de empresários,
with the
dois
business groups, 2
anunciaram
groups, right,
cooperação,
announced
investimento
cooperation,
com a Embraer.
investment with
Aqui na Índia e
Embraer
lá no
here
Brasil.
in India as
Falaram
well
para
as
o presidente o
Brazil.
propósito que estão
So
em vias de
they
viabilizar.
talked
Então,
and told
é
the
como o senhor
president that
quer.
they were about to make this
O
happen.
Brasil
So it is
chegando
you
aqui
wanted,
na Índia, mas a
Mr.
Índia
President,
também.
Brazil
de mão dupla
arriving in India,
esse
but this is a
entendimento.
two-way street,
Queria
right?
citar
This
também a
understanding. I
presença
would
do
also like
Marcos
to
Molina, que veio,
mention the attendance of
fez eu sei o
Marcos
sacrifício por
Molina.
conta da
I
agenda
know
que ele
how
tinha,
difficult
que
it
veio
was for
até
him to
aqui,
come
do
because
Júnior,
he is an incredibly
que também está
busy
aqui,
person. Also, Junior,
dirigente
who
da
is
VEG,
here,
e na pessoa
director of
deles,
Valley.
eu queria agradecer a
And
todos que
in their name, I'd like to
vieram
thank everyone
nesse fórum,
who
mas sem a
took part in
presença
this
das
forum.
entidades, das
But
organizações
without
também
the
empresariais que
attendance
são
of the
parceiras da Apex, a
business
gente não teria condição
organizations
de
partner
organizar um
of
evento como
Apex,
esse.
we would not
A
be able to
CNI
organize
também está aqui
such
presente,
a
nos
grand
deu,
event. CNI
participou, dando
has
apoio,
helped
com
us, supported
representantes
us.
e algumas pessoas.
I mean,
E as
this
minhas
agency
palavras
has been
são,
representing some other people. And my
obviamente, já se
comments
encerram. Eu
coming to an
prefiro
end,
encerrar
and I'd like to
com o otimismo que eu
conclude
assisti na reunião
with the
ainda há pouco.
optimism that I've just
modelagem
seen in the previous meeting, an extraordinary model
líderes
of
empresariais
12
indianos
Indian business
dizendo
leaders
que apostam no
saying
Brasil,
that
que
they
estão no
are
Brasil, que
betting
vão
in
para o
Brazil,
Brasil,
that
que vão
they're in
investir no
Brazil, they're
Brasil
going to go to
por conta
Brazil,
do
they're
ambiente de
investing
negócio
in
que o
Brazil
governo do
because of
presidente
the
Lula
business
criou,
environment
pelo
that the
momento que a
government
gente
of
vive no
President Lula
Brasil,
has
que o
created and the
ministro
moment
Haddad
that we
falou
are
de
going
manhã.
through
Eles fizeram
in
uma
Brazil
conta
that Minister
lá,
Haddad
o ministro
mentioned this
do
morning. They
Comércio e
did
o senhor
some
Chandra
maths.
fizeram uma
The Minister
conta do
of
valor de
Trade and
mercado
Mr. Chandra,
dos grupos que estavam presentes na
did
reunião com o
the
presidente Lula
calculation
até
of
agora,
the market
junto com
value
os
of the
ministros.
groups that were there
trilhão de
with
dólares.
President Lula,
O valor
and it
de
was
mercado
$1 trillion,
das empresas
which is the
que se
market
reuniram
value
com
of the
o presidente
companies
Lula.
who
Eu
have
acho que
just
isso é
met
uma
with
coisa
President Lula, and I
extraordinária,
think this is
porque foram anunciados, eu não vou falar
extraordinary
porque tem que fazer
because
uma
it has been
contabilidade,
announced. Because
mas
I'm not going to say this because we need to
grupo
do the
falou em 5 bilhões
sort
de
of
investimentos no Brasil,
calculation
outros
properly. Some
falaram
groups talk
em
about
bilhão
5
de reais de
billion
investimentos.
investments, another
Enfim,
1
já
billion
nesse ano,
reais.
iniciando os investimentos,
So
nós
this year,
vamos
for these
divulgar
investments to
certamente
start.
para a
So
imprensa
we are going to publicize
esses
to the
esses
press, of course,
propósitos
the
de investimento no
purpose
Brasil.
and,
Mas eu só
and
queria, por fim, dizendo que esse é o
expectation as far as
20º
investment is
encontro
concerned. But I'd
Fórum
like to
Empresarial.
conclude saying
O
that this is
próximo é
the 20th
segunda-feira em Seul, na Coreia,
business forum. The
que
next
para
one
mim
is
é
on
uma honra
Monday
muito
in
grande
Seoul,
ter a
in
confiança
Korea,
do
and
presidente
it is a
para
great honor
ajudar
for
a
me
liderar esse
to have
tipo
the
de evento,
trust
com a
by the
ajuda de
president
tantas
to
pessoas, a
lead
fazer uma reunião
such
como
grand
aquela que deu
event
muito
of
trabalho
holding a meeting such as the one now who it was hard work to get together. My dear friend, Minister Inácio Elias, knows how difficult it is for us to put together a meeting like that, but with the goodwill of the Indian leaders, and Mr. Chandra managed to get this done. It was important meetings, an objective meeting, and we leave the meeting with the feeling that Brazil and India are indeed going to reach a trade flow which is going to be much higher than we've actually got now. I mentioned $100 billion. Mr. Chandra talked about $100 billion. India's Minister of Trade also talked about $100 billion because it makes no sense for Brazil to have $150 billion of trade flow with China, $100 billion with the US, have almost $100 billion trade flow with Europe, and have $15 billion with India. It makes absolutely no sense, and this is what we're putting our chips on. That this state visit by the president is going to take us into a new phase, a new happy story of those who believe this, Brazilians and Indians alike, because there's a relation of these two countries, which are the two biggest democracies in the global south, the two big economies of the global south. So we are starting again, because when Brazil was founded, I mean, today we were saying this, when Brazil was founded, if you will, it was a connection with India, because there's a version of the story that Pedro Alves Cabral, he was trying to find a shortcut to India, and he ended up in Bahia in Brazil. So hey, good. So we started like that, right? We'll go Salvador, and then Salvador of our dear Governor Geronimo, who honors us with his presence. So President Lula, congratulations and thank you very much for the trust, and you give us the privilege of helping you in this kind of work. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Vienna, for your valuable remarks and also for your leadership throughout the forum. Ladies and gentlemen, we now proceed with the exchange of the Memorandum of Understanding, first between Apex Brazil and the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, FICCI. We invite on the stage the Business Director of Apex Brazil, Ms. Ana Hepeza, the Director General of FICCI, Ms. Jyoti Vij, the President of Apex Brazil, Mr. George A. Viena, and the President of FICCI and Vice Chairman of RPG Group, Mr. Anand Goenka. This MOU strengthens cooperation to promote trade and investment between India and Brazil. Thank you. You may kindly take your seats. And we now continue with the Memorandum of Understanding between Embraer and Adani Defense and Aerospace. We would like to invite on the stage the President of Embraer, Mr. Francisco Gomes Neto, and the CEO of Adani Defense and Aerospace, Mr. Ashish Rajwanshi, and the Director, Mr. Jeet Adani. The MOU is for the establishment of a final assembly line for the E-175 aircraft in India to strengthen the local regional transport ecosystem with globally proven efficiency and reliability. The aircraft will contribute to the next phase of Indian regional connectivity. We thank the representatives. And we now proceed with the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between Fiocruz and Biocon Pharma Limited. We invite on stage the Vice President for Production and Health Innovation of Fiocruz, Ms. Priscilla Ferraz Sores, the Global Head of Business Development and Chief Operating Officer for Emerging Markets of Biocon Pharma Limited, Mr. Sushil Umesh, and the Honorable Minister of Health of
केवाईसी अपडेट के लिए अनजान लिंक खोलना मतलब चोरों के लिए अपना दरवाजा खोलना। रुको, चेक किया लिंक सिक्योर है, सेंडर आपका बैंक है। फर्जी केवाईसी अपडेट लिंक से बचिए।
झूठी जल्दबाजी में ना फंसिए।
आरबीआई कहता है
जानकार बनिए, सतर्क रहिए।
We request Ms. Priscilla to kindly take her seat, and we call upon stage His Excellency the Governor of Bahia, Mr. Jeronimo Rodrigues, representing the Bahia farmer, and the CEO of BioNovis, Mr. Odnir Finoti. Ladies and gentlemen, today Bahia Pharma, Biocon and Biologics and BioNovis have celebrated a partnership for the productive development of the medicine pertuzumab, indicated the HER2 metastatic breast cancer. The estimated annual procurement value of BRL 503.4 million, an estimated population served of 72,000 patients. Thank you. We request our dignitaries to kindly take their seats. And we now have the honor of the exchange of the Memorandum of Understanding between NMDC Limited, Wales SA, and Adani Gangavaram Port Limited. And we would like to invite on stage from NMDC, Mr. Vijay Kumar, the Technical Director. From Wale SA, the CEO, Gustavo Pimante, and Sergio Fernandez, Director of the Product and Business Development, and from Adani Gangavaram Port, Mr. Amit Malik, the CEO. The MOU establishes a cooperation to create a facility under a Special Economic Zone (SEZ) regime at the port of Gangavaram, intended for blending and selling iron ore finds. The project is valued at approximately $500 million. Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, we now invite the President of FICCI and Vice Chairman of RPG Group, Mr. Anand Goenka, to kindly felicitate the Honorable President of Brazil with a green certificate. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a FICCI initiative wherein a thicket of 100 trees will be planted at Ram Bhumi, Ayodhya, Uttar Pradesh for ecotourism in the name of His Excellency, symbolizing the shared commitment to sustainability and a greener future. May I now request Mr. Anand Goenka to kindly do the honors of felicitating Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry of the Government of India, Mr. Piyush Goyal. Thank you, sir. We now invite Mr. Anand Goenka to kindly share his remarks.
His Excellency, Mr. Luiz, Inácio Lula de Silva, Honorable President of the Republic of Brazil, Shri Piyush Goyal, Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Jorge Viana, President, Apex Brazil, colleagues on the dais, business friends. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Boa tarde. On behalf of FICCI and the Indian business community, it is my great honor to welcome you to the Indian-Brazilian Business Forum. We are honored to welcome President Luiz Inácio Lula de Silva and the accompanying high-level delegation, whose presence reflects the deepening strategic and economic partnership between India and Brazil. We are also privileged to have Shri Piyush Goyal ji, Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, whose leadership continues to strengthen India's global trade and investment engagement. India and Brazil share a partnership built on democratic values and a commitment to inclusive, sustainable, people-centric growth. Our cooperation spans BRICS, IBSA, G20, Global Biofuel Alliance, International Solar Alliance, and the United Nations, and is increasingly translating into stronger economic and business ties. Brazil remains India's key trading partner in Latin America. In 2025, bilateral trade reached $15 billion, growing over 25% this year, and we have heard that we are looking at a $100 billion target over time. India offers significant opportunities for Brazilian companies. A fast-growing economy, a large domestic market, and sustained reforms in taxation, logistics, digital infrastructure, and industrial policy. Initiatives such as Make in India, Digital India, and PLI schemes strengthen India's position as a hub for manufacturing, innovation, and global operations. Both countries are founding members of BRICS, FICCI being the official secretariat for the BRICS Business Council, and the BRICS Women Business Alliance in India has consistently worked to deepen the economic engagement between our economies. With India assuming the BRICS presidency this year, after a very successful term under Brazil's presidency last year, we look forward to carrying forward the agenda of strengthening BRICS business ties and aligning our economic priorities for collective growth. Looking ahead, India and Brazil can work together in strengthening supply chains, advancing sustainable agriculture, expanding clean energy and biofuels, deepening healthcare and pharmaceutical cooperation, and promoting innovation through startups and digital technologies. I must acknowledge that it's been a very encouraging day with productive sessions throughout and several MOUs having been signed between Indian and Brazilian stakeholders in key sectors such as pharma, defense, agriculture, show a strategic economic partnership between the two countries. FICCI remains committed to working with partners in both countries to translate dialogue into tangible outcomes. With these words, I once again extend a very warm welcome to all distinguished delegates and wish the India-Brazil Business Forum every success. Obrigado, dhanyavad, thank you.
We sincerely thank Mr. Anand Goenka for his thoughtful remarks and for the valuable reflections. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now privileged to hear from a visionary leader who has played a transformative role in shaping India's global trade engagement and economic strategy. It is now our distinct honor to invite Shri Piyush Goyal ji, Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, for the special address.
Your Excellency, Mr. Luiz Inácio Lula de Silva, Honorable President of the Federative Republic of Brazil, Excellencies, Honorable Ministers from Brazil, Mr. Viana, President of Apex Brazil, Mr. Goenka, President of FICCI, all the distinguished guests, business persons, captains of industry gathered here today, friends from both Brazil and India, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste, boa tarde. It is indeed a great privilege and distinct honor to host His Excellency, the President of Brazil, the delegation from Brazil, all the distinguished ministers, business persons, and friends who have joined us at this Brazil-India Business Forum. This visit certainly marks a defining moment in the relationship between two of the world's largest democracies. India and Brazil have both demonstrated a very remarkable diplomatic relay. In September 2023, we passed on the G20 presidency to Brazil under His Excellency President Lula. And in 2026, Brazil is passing on the BRICS presidency to India. We congratulate Brazil for the successful BRICS summit, and I'm hopeful that we'll continue to receive your guidance and support as we take forward the agenda during the current year. Brazil has always been a very strong voice for the global South, and on behalf of 140 crore Indians, today, Excellency, I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to you and the people of Brazil for the high honor that you bestowed upon our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji by conferring the Grand Collar of the National Order of the Southern Cross when he visited Brazil. This honor, friends, is a testament to the profound and lasting friendship between our two great nations. India and Brazil are natural partners. Our relationship is built on the foundation of democracy, diversity, and shared aspirations for development. We have a strong, multifaceted strategic partnership driven by people-to-people ties and expanding cooperation across sectors. Brazil is India's largest trading partner in Latin America and the Caribbean region. Our bilateral engagement has continued to deepen in several areas such as defense, energy, agriculture, agrochemicals. We are also expanding cooperation in health and pharma, energy, including renewable energy, critical minerals, defense, the aviation sector, and there's significant growth in our collaboration in science and technology, digital public infrastructure, artificial intelligence, as well as in space technologies. I agree with both the previous speakers and with His Excellency the President in an earlier engagement that our bilateral trade, even though it has grown by 25% last year, at $15 billion is truly suboptimal. We have to be significantly more ambitious. Today, President Lula and Prime Minister Modi have both set much higher benchmarks, but I'm confident, seeing the excitement in the earlier engagement and this evening with all of you, that we should aspire to grow faster, to grow bigger, and to grow together for the shared prosperity of both nations. Our partnership also has many other dimensions: our South-South cooperation, our BRICS cooperation, our cooperation in the IBSA, our cooperation in the G20, at the WTO. And I'm very confident that the future is very bright for both countries. India, Excellency, recently concluded a series of new high-quality free trade agreements and is actively negotiating many more as a part of our fast advancing trade strategy. With these agreements, India now enjoys preferential access to nearly 2/3 of global trade. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the 9 FTAs that we have finalized significantly deepen our integration with key developed economies. These FTAs span partnerships with several countries across continents, giving our exporters unprecedented market access into high-value, high-income countries. These new FTAs mark a decisive step in positioning India at the center of the global value chains. We are in active negotiations with many other countries with whom we hope to enter into free trade agreements. We have finalized terms of reference with Israel, with the GCC, and we have also launched discussions with Canada and hope to launch free trade agreement negotiations with them in the near future. The Mercosur region is particularly important for us, and we are working to expand our India-Mercosur preferential trade agreement to improve market access, to grow investments on both sides, to have technology partnerships, to engage in sports, education, culture, etc. Excellency, your visit comes at a time when both our economies are experiencing renewed momentum. India today is the world's fastest growing major economy. Our real GDP growth in the second quarter of this year was upward of 8%. This growth reflects the structural transformation of India's economy under Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi since 2014. We are on track to surpass Germany in the next 2 years or so to become the world's third largest GDP. This growth, friends, is driven by reforms in taxation, logistics, manufacturing, digital infrastructure, reducing compliance burden, making it easier to do business, and supporting the efforts of our business community across all regions, all sectors. We have positioned India today as a trusted and reliable destination for global business and investments. Friends, in the financial year 25 alone, India attracted nearly $80 billion in foreign direct investment, the highest ever so far in a single year. This has been driven by our competitive investment climate and transformative schemes supporting industry in sectors like semiconductors, green energy, electric mobility, amongst others. We also actively promote outward investment to other regions, and therefore these free trade agreements will play an important role in building the right climate for India's industry to grow domestically and internationally. When we think of Brazil, we think of its rich natural resources. Minerals like niobium, lithium, and iron ore are vital for shaping the future of technology and global energy transition. Brazil is also a global agriculture powerhouse, producing several products that help feed billions. Brazil's aerospace, automotive, and digital technology industries are rapidly evolving, offering abundant opportunities for collaboration. All of this comes together to make Brazil our strategic partner in global supply chains. Together, we have the potential to reshape global supply or global value chains with resources, innovation, and a forward-looking vision. We warmly invite Brazilian companies to partner with us in these areas, co-creating jobs, adding value, and supporting each other with technology. Our shared commitment to safeguarding national interests and promoting equitable access ensures that global intellectual property frameworks consider the concerns of developing countries, particularly in protecting indigenous technology. In July 2025, on his state visit to Brazil, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi and President Mr. Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva agreed to deepen the India-Brazil strategic partnership. We support that initiative wholeheartedly from the business community of both countries. The state visit of His Excellency will provide another opportunity for both sides to chart a forward-looking agenda and strengthen our bilateral strategic partnership to reach greater heights. As President Lula da Silva rightly said, no one can reap the fruit before planting the trees. Today, let us plant the seeds of a stronger India-Brazil partnership, nurturing them with collaboration and innovation so that we can reap the fruits of mutual prosperity in the years to come. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, President Lula. Namaskar.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, sir, for your inspiring address and for outlining a forward-looking roadmap for India-Brazil economic cooperation. And ladies and gentlemen, we now arrive at the most distinguished moment of the plenary session. It is a profound honor to welcome a global statesman and an enduring champion of South-South cooperation, His Excellency Mr. Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, the Honorable President of the Federative Republic of Brazil, who has been a steadfast advocate of inclusive growth and social justice, sustainable development and stronger cooperation among emerging economies.
Bem, o dia de hoje é dia
Is
muito promissor
a very promising day
para a Índia
for India
e para o Brasil.
and for Brazil.
Por isso, eu quero cumprimentar
And this is
o
why
ministro do Comércio e Indústria da República
I'd
da
like to
Índia.
greet the Minister of
Quero cumprimentar os
Trade and
ministros
Industry of
brasileiros que me
India, the
acompanham,
Brazilian ministers that have come with me,
os deputados e senadores.
the members of parliament
Quero
that have come
cumprimentar
with
os
us.
empresários
I'd like to
indianos,
greet
as
the Indian
empresárias, os
business
empresários brasileiros, as
people
empresárias
and the Brazilian
que fazem
business
parte
people who are
desse fórum
who are
empresarial.
part of this business forum and are here with us.
Eu
I
sou muito otimista
am
na relação
very optimistic in
Brasil
the
Índia.
India-Brazil
Sou muito
relation.
otimista porque nós temos muitas
Very optimistic
similaridades,
because we have a lot of
porque nós
similarities,
temos
because
muita
we
coisa em comum
have a lot of
e
things
porque
in
nós
common,
temos
and
o desejo
because we
de deixarmos de ser país
wish, you know,
em vez de
to
desenvolvimento
no longer
para nos
be
transformarmos em
developing
países
countries and become developed
As
nations.
oportunidades
The opportunities,
o
they're
papel
here.
do
They've been given.
primeiro-ministro Modi, o papel
The
do
role
presidente da República do Brasil
Of Prime Minister Modi
é
and the
apenas
role
abrir as
of
portas
the Brazilian
os
president
empresários
is basically to
possam fazer
open
aquilo
the
que
door
eles
so
sabem,
that, you know, the business community
negociar,
can do what they know
construir
best.
parcerias,
Negotiate, build
fazer
partnerships,
investimento
make
no
investments
Brasil e na
in
Índia
Brazil, in
para que
India,
as duas economias
so that
possam
both
crescer
economies
juntas.
may grow together.
Por isso,
Therefore,
eu faço questão
I
de participar de
You know,
fóruns
really
empresariais
do
em
want to
todas
take
as
part
minhas
in
viagens.
business forums in all my trips. It is very important that, presidents learn that with them they should bring a delegation of business people so that we, may make business really happen. But no other seminar has ever been that present in my plan. As soon as arranged with Prime Minister Modi my visit to India, as a return of the visit that he made to Brazil, I told him that it would be important for us to hold a big business meeting to make sure that India's and Brazil's wishes of becoming a great economy are being provided for, and thus I sent my Vice President Geraldo Alckmin, who had the first business mission to India last year, and in this state visit I have with me possibly the biggest delegation of ministers, business people of all the different trips that I have taken up until now. And this shows the commitment that I have with India. Trade flows and exchanges, as well as investment flows, they provide ballast to political relations among countries. Events such as this, they drive national development and the advance of innovative technologies. It also attracts investments that lead to income opportunity for workers in India as well as in Brazil. The distance between Brazil and India is but a detail vis-a-vis the potential for friendship between our countries. I had the honor of leading the signing of our strategic partnership back in 2006. Since then, our bilateral trade went from $2.4 billion to $15 billion. It is a lot of growth, but it's still not much if we take into consideration Brazil's and India's size. But can you think, right, that in 2006 our trade was only $2.4 billion, so nothing really. And this is something that shows not even did India look to Brazil or Brazil look to India, and all of us, we were, raised to look at the big powerhouses, to look to Europe, to the US, to look to Japan, and more recently China, and we didn't look at each other. We couldn't see each other. And now we have decided to change this. We decided to change this because the potential, of political, economic, cultural, scientific, technological integration between Brazil and India is something which is huge in its dimension, and perhaps we do not have the capability of seeing this. I was just saying this to the business people who we met. I was in India for 2005 when India managed to have an international reserves of $100 billion for the first time. This was back in 2005. Brazil had no reserves at that time. Brazil owed $30 billion to the IMF. And Brazil, was always being charged with IMF representatives coming to Brazil. Because of that trip that I made to India, I decided that Brazil should have international reserves. And shortly after that, we reached $370 billion in international reserves. In that same year, 2005, for the first time, Brazil managed to export the equivalent to $100 billion
Foi uma festa para o Brasil.
It was a big celebration for Brazil, you know.
Hoje, o nosso fluxo
And today, our
internacional
international trade flow reaches $149 billion.
não é demonstração de que as
So
possibilidades
this
estão aí.
shows that, you know, the possibilities, they're there.
Veja, o primeiro-ministro
Look,
Modi e eu
Prime Minister
nos
Modi and I
comprometemos a trabalhar
have
para chegarmos
committed
a
to
20
work for us to
bilhões de
reach
dólares
$20
em
billion
cerca de poucos anos.
in, you know,
Eu
a
queria lembrar
trade
que
exchange in
quando eu
a
vim
few
aqui em
years. I'd
2005,
like to remind you that
eu
when
e
I
o
visited India in
primeiro-ministro
2005, me
nos
and Prime Minister
comprometemos a
Singh,
chegar a
we
10
committed to
bilhões de
reach $10
dólares
billion
no 10 anos depois.
10 years later.
Ou seja,
So
eu disse ao primeiro-ministro
So,
ao primeiro-ministro Modi
said to Prime
que
Minister Modi
20 bilhões de
that
dólares
$20
é
billion
muito pouco para o Brasil.
is not much for,
Com a
you know,
quantidade de
India and
empresários
Brazil. I mean, with the number of
indianos que já estão no
Indian
Brasil,
business
e com a quantidade de
people
empresários
that are in
brasileiros
Brazil
que
already,
querem fazer
and
investimento
with
na
the number
Índia.
of Brazilian investors
E
that want to
com a
invest in
tentativa de se
India,
colocar
you know,
fim no
and with the
multilateralismo e
attempt
se
of
implantar o
bringing
unilateralismo,
multilateralism to an end,
China e
implementing
Brasil,
unilateralism,
ao invés
China,
de ficar chorando
India,
aquilo que não
and
aconteceu,
Brazil, instead
nós
of,
temos que
you
fazer
know, crying over
acontecer
spilt
entre os
milk,
nossos dois
what we
países.
need to do is to
Portanto,
ensure
eu
that this
acho,
happens
e disse
between
ao
our
primeiro-ministro
two
Modi,
countries. And this is
que não
why
será
I
surpresa
think, and I
se
said
em
this to
2030
Prime Minister
a
Modi,
gente, ao invés
that I
de
will
20,
not be surprised
chegar
that
a
if by
30 bilhões de
2030
dólares
we
de
have not
comércio
reached 20
entre os dois
billion,
países.
but 30
É
billion
só
in bilateral trade between
correr
our two
atrás.
countries. All we need to do is, you know, work for it.
No mundo de hoje,
In today's world,
conectividade
today's
e
world,
diversificação comercial
the
viraram sinônimo de
connectivity
resiliência
and commercial
diante do
possibilities have
recrudescimento
become
do
a synonym
protecionismo
of resilience
e do
because of
unilateralismo comercial.
protectionism and trade
Desde o
unilateralism.
início do meu
Since the
mandato,
start of
o
my
Mercosul
term
assinou
in office,
acordos com a
Mercosur
Singapura,
has
EFTA,
signed agreements with
e mais
Singapore,
recentemente com a União
EFTA, and
Europeia.
more recently with the European Union,
ampliar
increasing
significativamente o
significantly
acordo de comércio
the
preferencial
preferential
vigora
trade
desde
agreement
2009,
Mercosur-India
é
that
uma
has been
prioridade com
discussed since
vistas ao futuro
2009 is a
acordo de livre
priority
comércio.
when you look
Dois
for a
mercados tão
possible free trade
importantes como o
agreement for the
Brasil e a
future.
Índia
Two such important markets
precisam de
such as Brazil
arcabouço
and
mais
India
abrangente
needs a
e
sort
mais
of
ambicioso.
wider-reaching, more
interesse
ambitious
recíproco
framework.
é
The
crescente.
reciprocal interest
Mais de
is
100 missões
growing.
empresariais
Over
brasileiras
100 missions
visitaram a Índia
by
nos últimos 3
Brazilian
anos.
business people who actually
Grande
visited
número de
India in the last 3
empresários
years.
se
A great number
beneficiará
of
da
business
extensão
people
da
will
validade
benefit
dos
from
vistos de negócio
extending
de
the
5 para 10 anos.
visa validity for
Para
business
apoiar o
insurance from
setor
5 to
privado
10
dos dois
years to
países
support the private
a
sector of both
identificar
countries
oportunidades de
so
fechar
that we may
negócios,
identify
a Agência
opportunities and actually
Brasileira de
close deals.
Promoção
The
de
Brazilian
Exportações, a APEC,
Export Promotion
inaugurou
Agency,
ontem seu
APEX,
escritório
yesterday
aqui em Delhi.
opened their office
O
in
acordo
Delhi.
sobre cooperação
And the
em
agreement
pequenas
on
e médias empresas
cooperation
que
for
assinamos
small,
hoje vai
medium-sized
apoiar a troca de
companies that we signed
experiências
today, they're
em
going to
setor
support
vital
the exchange of
para a
experience
geração de
in a
empregos
crucial
e para
sector
as
for
nossas economias.
creating jobs
No
and for
setor
our
de
economies in
como
cutting-edge
tecnologia da
sectors such
informação,
as IT,
inteligência
artificial
artificial,
intelligence,
biotecnologia e
biotechnology,
exploração espacial,
and space
as
exploration.
oportunidades são inúmeras. A
Opportunities
parceria
are
digital com a
countless.
Índia
The
é a
digital
primeira
partnership
dessa
with India is
natureza
the
assinada
first
pelo
of this
Brasil.
nature
Ela
signed by
reunirá
Brazil. It will
cooperação
bring
em
together
inteligência artificial,
cooperation in
computação de
artificial
alto desempenho e
intelligence, high
startups
performance
de
computing,
base tecnológica.
startups of technological
Também
basis.
somos líderes na
We are also
criação
leaders
de
in the creation of
infraestrutura pública
digital
digitais.
public infrastructure, the DPIs. The Brazilian PICs and India's
O India Stack
stack
mostra que é possível
shows that it is
democratizar a
possible to
tecnologia
democratize
e colocar
technology
inovação
and
a
place
serviço da
innovation
inclusão.
at the service of inclusion.
Enfrentar a mudança do
Facing
clima
climate
é uma
change
obsessão do meu
is an
governo.
obsession of my
Neste ano,
government. This year,
reduzimos em
we have
50% o
reduced
desmatamento na Amazônia com
deforestation
relação
in
a
the
2022.
Amazon in 50% in relation to 2020,
teremos a menor taxa de
2026. We are going to have the
desmatamento na
lowest
história do Brasil.
deforestation rate
O
in
Brasil
Brazil's
está fazendo a
history.
sua parte
Brazil's
para
doing
assegurar
its part
planeta habitável
to ensure
para as
that we
próximas
have
gerações.
a planet
Monitoramos
where
nossos biomas
next
e
generations
usamos
can
a
live in. We
ciência
have been
como
monitoring our
ferramenta
biomes
de
and we
cuidado
use science
e
as a tool
soberania.
of care and
Juntamente com a
sovereignty,
Índia,
together with India.
queremos ser motores de
We
novo
want to
modelo de
be
desenvolvimento.
drivers of a new
Transformamos
development
os
model.
desafios
We
da transição
have transformed
energética e da
challenges of
mudança do
energy
clima
transition and of
em
climate
oportunidades.
change into opportunities.
É o
India
mercado de bioenergia que mais
is the
cresce no mundo.
bioenergy market that
E o
grows
Brasil
the
tem
most in the
meio
world, and
século de
Brazil has
experiência com
half a
etanol
century of
e
experience
motores
with ethanol and dual
No mar,
fuel
Na Aliança
engines.
Global para
At the level of the Global
estamos
Biofuel
criando
Alliance,
mercado
we are
mundial.
creating a
A
world
transição
market.
energética e
Energy
digital
and
não se
digital
fará
transition
sem
will
minerais
not take
críticos.
place without
O
critical
Brasil
minerals.
conta
Brazil
com pelo
has
menos
at least
26%
26%
das
of the
reservas mundiais
world's
de minerais
reserves of
críticos,
critical minerals,
tendo apenas 30%
and we
do
have
seu
only
território prospectado.
30% of its
Assim como a
territory
Índia
prospected, just like
criou a
India.
Missão Nacional de
We have
Minerais Críticos.
established the
E
national
o Brasil
mission
criou
for
Conselho
critical
Nacional
minerals. Brazil
vinculado à
has
Presidência da
set up a national
República
council
para
linked to the
garantir
presidency of the republic
a
to ensure
soberania.
our sovereignty.
Queremos atrair a cadeia de
We want to
processamento dessa
attract the
riqueza
processing
para o
chain for
território
this wealth for the
brasileiro
Brazilian
sem
territory
fazer opções
without
excludentes.
having to make
O acordo
excluding
que
options.
assinamos hoje com a
The agreement
Índia
that we signed today
vai
with India,
exatamente
it goes
nessa
in this
direção.
direction.
Meus amigos e minhas
Precisely.
amigas,
Dear
a
friends,
sinergia
you.